In this lesson, we're going to be looking at giving different examples and definitions for all of our different kinds of functions that we've talked about. So you'll notice in number 1 it asks you to give an example of an equation in a graph for a linear function. You can pick anything you want. This is what I chose. I want these in your notes so you can look back and see them. So I'm not really going to talk much about them because I think they're kind of common sense. But what you'll want to do if you want to copy mine exactly is you're going to want to pause the video, copy it down, and then move on. So I'm just going to show the screen for a second and then let you pause it to do it. There's my example of a quadratic. You can plug in any one you like. I just picked a random one and graphed it. You might want to graph one that's even easier and use your calculator for that. There's my cubic. There's my rational. Notice my vertical asymptote is at x equals -3 and my horizontal is at y equals 1. There's my square root function, half of a sideways parabola. There's my absolute value function. You could get that from your calculator if you like. And then you'll see that you have all these words to define. This is actually going to be part of your homework for this section, is you're going to fill out what a function is and put it in your own words on how you can tell something's a function. So you'll do function, linear function, quadratic, cubic, rational, absolute value, square root, and then we'll answer these questions together. So those notes are, I'm going to grade that as homework. So those 6 or 7, whatever we just went through, that's what you're going to fill in, and you can do that in class tomorrow as part of your homework. And you're going to define them in your own words, and then we'll kind of put an example out of what the answer key would look like for that. And then number 1, it says, how are a quadratic function and a square root function connected both by their equations and their graphs? So I'm going to have you do this part for homework too. What I want you to highlight is the fact that a quadratic function looks like this, and a square root function is half of a parabola, right? So you're going to connect those. And I want you to connect their equations for vertex form. And talk a little bit about that. Here's the parabola, and then for a sideways parabola, it's this one. So talk a little bit about how those are connected. For number 2, what does a linear function and cubic function have in common? I want you to talk about their end behavior. And anything else you think that would be similar about them, like their degrees, something common about the degree or anything like that. And then number 3, write the equation for a parabola like the one graph. So like the one graph, doesn't have to be the exact one graphed. Is it a function? So this one, the vertex looks like it's at -3, 0. So I want you to use that as your h and k. I think we know enough to say that, look, it's going up 1, right 1, up 3, right 1. So we know the a is 1. So I want you to go ahead and write the equation. So not like this, it actually will be able to write it exactly. So you'll be able to do the exact equation. So exactly like the one graphed. And then decide if it's a function or not and tell me why it is or isn't. Okay, and that's part of your homework assignment that you can do tomorrow in class.